For the last 5 years I dedicated my heart and energy to building my small catering business from the ground up. It wasn't anything extravagant or high-tech, just a dream fueled by my passion for food, event planning, and creating unforgettable moments for people. My parents always said I had a gift for bringing joy to others through my cooking. So one day I decided, take a leap of faith. I rented a tiny kitchen, worked endlessly to find clients, and slowly my weekend events transformed into a full-time career. Through endless effort, I reached a place where my business became steady. I had a few loyal employees, a regular stream of customers, and 2 years ago I achieved something I never thought possible. I bought my own house. I wasn't a millionaire, but I was secure and proud of what I had achieved. Then came my fiancé. Let's just call her fiancé. She was 27 when we met at a friend's birthday, and the spark was immediate. Her confidence drew me in, and before long we were inseparable. Often showed up at my catering events, sampling dishes, playfully teasing me when I tested new recipes. My parents adored her, especially my mom, who thought she was truly supportive of my goals. Everything felt perfect, and after a year of dating, marriage naturally became part of our conversations. Looking back, there were early warning signs I ignored. Would grow jealous if I complimented my female staff even when it was strictly professional. She frequently hinted that owning a home alone was too much, saying, if we're going to marry, I want everything under both our names. The time I thought it was just normal talk about joining lives. I didn't mind making her feel secure, especially since she came from a wealthy family with luxury properties in another state. I assumed she was simply used to a higher standard of living. When I finally proposed during a quiet candlelit dinner where I cooked her favorite homemade fettuccine alfredo, her reaction was everything I imagined. She was thrilled, snapping photos, squealing with excitement, texting her friends. I was certain I had found my life partner. If anyone had warned me about what lay ahead, I would have laughed it off. First, wedding planning was fun, but fiancé soon took control of every detail. She wanted a certain venue, a designer gown, and an exclusive guest list filled with high-profile relatives. That was fine. I didn't mind letting her take charge of what mattered to her. Just weeks into our engagement, she brought up a prenup. I didn't object to the idea. I actually thought it was a responsible step. But what she presented wasn't protection, it was a takeover. Wanted me to put my house under her name and sign an agreement that if we divorced, she'd take half my business. She framed it as if she were generous for letting me keep the other 50%, as though my work and my home weren't mine in the first place. When I said it wasn't fair, she flipped the script. You don't trust me. You won't sign, then you're not truly committed. She even tried to guilt trip me, saying refusing her would disrespect her family. She argued, so many marriages end in divorce, we just want safety. If safety was the real goal, why did her terms demand half of everything I had built alone? The argument dragged on for days, surfacing at breakfast, in the car, and even once in front of my mom. Wouldn't stop trying to compromise. I suggested meeting a lawyer and drafting a fair prenup that protected us both. Proposal was simple: whatever we brought in remained ours, and anything we built together would be split if divorce happened. That seemed reasonable, but she acted as if I had spoken another language. Her attitude only worsened. She gave me the cold shoulder whenever I didn't agree, slamming doors, rolling her eyes, sighing dramatically every time I spoke. It was draining. One night I woke up around 2 a.m. to find her rummaging through papers in her office. When I asked, she said she was searching for her passport. But deep down I knew she was looking for documents tied to my business. I tried to stay calm, but the stress was wearing me. I confided in my dad, who had been hesitant to step in, believing couples should solve their own problems. After seeing me losing weight, barely sleeping, he admitted he never liked how pushy she was. "You've built something great. Don't let anyone strip that away." His words stuck. My mom first dismissed it as wedding stress, but eventually even she saw how outrageous fiancés' demands had become. As the wedding date neared, she escalated. She even brought her father into it. One afternoon he called out of nowhere and, without a greeting, said, "We need to discuss you signing those papers. My daughter deserves security. You don't want to ruin this wedding." Audacity, he didn't even soften it. He was outright pressuring me to hand over my house and half my business. When I asked if he realized how unfair it was, he just repeated, "We must protect her future." Was done. That night I came home to find fiancé with friends supposedly planning the wedding. But the talk turned ugly. One asked, "So how profitable is your catering? Can you even afford a wedding this size?" Another added, "Prenups are normal when a woman is used to certain comforts." I sat there listening to her friends imply that I should give away my life's work just so she could maintain a lifestyle. 2 months before the wedding finally snapped. That morning, with a heavy gut, I knew we'd argue about the prenup again at breakfast. As she casually brought it up for the 100th time, I said the words I had buried for months. "This wedding is off." She froze, eyes wide, then erupted. She screamed I had wasted her time, betrayed her, humiliated her before her family and friends. But I had already made up my mind. I walked away, knowing I had avoided disaster. Weeks later, mutual friends told me she was already dating someone new. That only confirmed what I had feared. She never loved me. She loved what she thought she could take. Looking back, I'm grateful I saw the truth before it was too late. Still have my home. I still have my business. And most importantly, I still have my peace. The morning air grew heavy with tension as she slid a fresh printed document across the table, her manicured fingers tapping against the surface. Was another version of the prenup, colder, sharper, and even more calculated, and even more devious than before. The terms were crafted with the precision of a trap designed to rob me of everything I had built. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile that never touched her eyes, and said lightly, as if it were a mere formality, "All you need to do is sign on the dotted line and then we can move forward." Something inside me broke. I drew in a deep breath, steadying the storm raging inside. My voice came out, calm but unyielding. "I'm not signing it. Not today, not ever. And if you can't see how wrong this is, then we have a serious problem." Her reaction was instant, pure explosion. She leapt from her chair, eyes burning with fury. "You're ungrateful," she shrieked, her voice trembling with rage. "I am the best thing that ever happened to you. And you can't even do this one thing for me." For the first time I saw her true self. The mask was gone, revealing someone who had never cared about me, only about what I could provide. Without another word, she snatched her bag and stormed out, her heels slamming against the floor. I stood there in silence, staring at the contract lying on the table as though it mocked me. My hands shook, not from fear but from the raw anger of realizing I had nearly given my life's work to someone who viewed me as nothing more than a tool. I knew right Then that I needed to protect myself. The next day I found a lawyer, a sharp, straightforward professional suggested by a friend's cousin. As I explained everything, he listened carefully before shaking his head. "This isn't a prenup," he said. "This is financial extortion. It's entirely one-sided, and in court it likely wouldn't stand. But the fact that she's pressing so hard, that's the real red flag." His words confirmed what I already knew. This wasn't about securing our future. It was about her securing my future for herself. Soon after, her father decided to intervene. He phoned me out of nowhere, skipping greetings. "We need to discuss you signing that document," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "My daughter deserves security. I'm sure you don't want to jeopardize this wedding, right?" Almost laughed at the arrogance. Asked him plainly if he understood how unfair this agreement was. His answer was the same. Nonsense about protecting his daughter from future hardship. "And what about protecting me?" Shot back. A call ended with me hanging up as he droned on about honor and duty. But I knew I couldn't let this continue. My fiancé, however, hadn't given up. When direct pressure failed, she turned to my mother, cornering her with a desperate attempt to guilt-trip me. "If he refuses to sign it, will break my heart. It will shame both families." She likely thought my mother would side with her, pushing me into agreement. But by then even my mother saw through the act. With a calm but steady tone she said, "Marriage is built on respect, not on contracts that benefit only one side." That ended with my fiancé breaking into tears, but they no longer fooled anyone. Days passed quietly until one night she showed up uninvited. She walked in as if she still owned the place, scanning the rooms with narrowed eyes like she was surveying her future property. And she turned to me with a smirk. "Have you finally come to your senses?" Arrogance in her tone made my skin crawl. I met her stare without blinking. The words barely left my lips before she erupted. She screamed, accused me of lying, of cheating, of hiding money from her. Her wild accusations spiraled into madness. Then came her last, pitiful move. She demanded I repay her for the wedding expenses, the deposits, the dress fittings, the spa treatment she booked. "You owe me for the time and money I put into this relationship," she spat. Was it the undeniable proof it had never been about love? To her this was always a financial transaction, and she expected to walk away with profit. I refused. "Me to court if you want. You'll get nothing." Her face twisted with rage. Grabbed my phone, ready to call the police if she refused to leave. Finally scared her. With one last curse, she stormed out, swearing she would ruin me. I changed the locks that very My father helped remove the spare key outside, and I installed cameras on my front door. I would never let her back. What followed was a flood of calls, texts, and messages from her friends and family. They painted me as the villain, the heartless man who left her with nothing. The truth was, she had a wealthy family and a comfortable home to return to. Just wanted pity. But I refused to let her twist the story. Whenever anyone tried to shame me, I laid out the facts. How she tried to take my house and my business, how she lied, threatened, and manipulated. She left empty-handed because I wouldn't be her fool. Word spread quickly. People began to see her true colors. Some distanced themselves. Others openly confronted her. The best part, a photographer friend who had shot our engagement photos for free told me my fiancé had tried to pressure her into doing the entire wedding at a heavy discount. My ex even had the nerve to demand those engagement pictures back. But my friend refused. Legally, they were hers until fully paid for. Another small victory. In the end, my ex-fiancé got nothing. Well, house, no business, no payout. She played her game and lost. And me, I walked away. With my home, my company, and my dignity intact. The ordeal drained me, but in retrospect, I'm thankful. Had I given in, I would have been chained to a marriage built on greed and control. My father, who once held back, finally said the words I needed most. Better now than to the vows. Since then, I've focused on expanding my catering business, securing new contracts, and surrounding myself with people who genuinely support me. Looking back, I realize how close I came to making the worst mistake of my life. But I dodged it, and it feels incredible. So if there's one lesson I can leave anyone reading this, it's this. When someone shows you their true self, believe them.